Number 1. The Day of Nobunaga's Ambition. March 30th is the date the very first Nobunaga's Ambition game was released. Since then, the game has spawned an everlasting franchise with 16 mainline titles and multiple spin-offs, and made a huge impact on pop culture regarding the big man himself, Oda Nobunaga, as well as the entire Sengoku period. So, on the series' 30th anniversary in 2013, the date of March 30th was designated as the Day of Nobunaga's Ambition. Number 2. Nobunaga's Face. The first title of the series was entirely text-based, and the game box used an old drawing of the real Oda Nobunaga as the cover. The second game, Sengoku simply titled as Nobunaga's Ambition for the international release, gave Nobunaga an actual portrait, but this one is based on the previously mentioned old historical drawing. It is not until the third game, Sengoku Gunyuden, or Nobunaga's Ambition 2 for the international release, that Nobunaga gains the hairstyle and mustache that most associate him with today. And even then, due to the limitations of screen space, it would still take years and many more titles before Nobunaga finally settles with his now iconic look with the European armor plate and red cape in the 11th title, Tenkasose or Rise to Power. Though that look already appears on cover as early as the 7th title, Shoseroku. Number 3. Overture. Aside from Nobunaga's look, you know what else was very iconic and integrated to the series' identity? Yes, its main theme, the one you heard at the beginning of this video and whenever you boot up a Nobunaga's Ambition game. Just like Nobunaga's look, the theme first appeared in the third game and it sounds like this. This theme was composed by Kanoyuko, who some of you who watched anime in the 90s might have heard of, as she was the main composer of quite a few cult classics like Macross Plus, Cowboy Bebop, and Ghost in the Shell standalone complex. Nobunaga's Ambition was actually Kanoyuko's first commercialized work, and she has ever professionally played for her college rock band beforehand. The CEO of Koei, Shibusawa, only found out and hired her because he himself played jazz during his school days, and one of his old schoolmates recommended him to check out her band. Number 4. Nobunaga's Ambition and Taiga Drama. Throughout the years, the series have been constantly influenced by various Taiga dramas, with many of the characters' portraits having their designs changed to reflect the latest look of the actors in the dramas. Then comes 2016, everything comes to a full loop with the game influences the Taiga drama back, with the then airing series Sadada Maru uses 3D map of the then latest Nobunaga's Ambition title, Sphere of Influence. History would repeat again in 2022, with the then airing series The Tearing Loss of the Shogun uses the 3D map of Awakening for some of the scenes. Number 5. The series used to have live action footages. For most of the early titles, historical events were presented through mostly text and some computer graphic visuals. When the technology finally allowed the games to do more than just that, some major events were told via animated cutscenes, but specifically for the PS1 titles, there are live action footages for some of its major events, with the Honnoji incident in Haouden goes like this.
敵は本能寺にあり長き屈辱の連続であった小野川運命に終止符を打たんと光秀は信長に対し反旗を翻した光秀の兵1万3000に対し信長側はその数わずか104名勝敗は時を待たず決した世に言う本能寺の変である
Number 6. The Journey to Japan's Unification. With the latest entry, Awakening, the series now has over 2,200 officers from all the way from the island of Hokkaido up north to the small island of Tsushima down south, making it easily their grand strategy game with the most unique characters. Though the series didn't really start out that way, you only really control as either Oda Nobunaga or Takeda Shingen and follow the conquest of these two daimyos. So the game didn't have the regions of Tohoku, Hokkaido, and Kyushu. The second title added in these three regions, completing the whole map of Japan, hence its subtitle of Sengoku or Whole Country Edition. And it wasn't until the third title that the game added retainers. Number 7. Officer Play. You probably already know that Ascension allows you to play as an officer as opposed to just the daimyo like most of the series does, right? But did you know that Ascension wasn't the first to do this? That honor actually belongs to Sotenroku, the 10th title of the series. So in that one, you can only play as the Castle Lord instead of just any officer. But there is a deeper emphasis on relationship and diplomacy as opposed to land development like in Ascension. There are more options to persuade all the Castle Lords to join your force, with assassination being an actual option for change. Number 8. The weirdest spin-off. With a history spanning 40 years and 16 mainline titles, the series of course have had quite a few spin-offs to it too. You probably already know about Nobunaga no Yabo or Samurai Cat as it is known in the West, as its character portraits are available for use in Sphere of Influence, and the cat version of Nobunaga is a playable character in Warriors All-Stars. There's also that weird crossover with the Pokemon franchise that is Pokemon Conquest. But you know what's the weirdest spin-off the franchise has ever had? A crossover title with the idol group AKB48. Yes, seriously. Instead of collecting historical characters in Conquer Japan, you collect idols of the AKB48 group and set out to conquer a fantasy world. The game was first released as a social game on January 2013 and ended servers on March 2018, which is actually pretty long all things considered. Number 9. Crossover with Dynasty Warriors. Speaking of crossover, you probably already know about Warriors Orgy, the ultimate crossover of the heroes of the Three Kingdoms and the Sengoku period, right? But did you know that in the very first Dynasty Warriors, Oda Nobunaga already crossed space and time and be the guest fighter of that game? This Nobunaga's appearance was based on his design on the cover of the 5th Nobunaga's Ambition title, Haouden, and his pose in the character select screen is a direct reference to that game's cover too. Number 10. Where it all began. Earlier, I mentioned that the first Nobunaga's Ambition game only really allows you to play as either Oda Nobunaga or as Takeda Shingen. Playing as Nobunaga is pretty simple to understand, right? Because duh, his name is in the title after all. But why Shingen though? To answer that, we must go all the way back to 1981 when Koei first made its debut game. Initially, Koei wasn't a video game company back when it was found. The company's focus was actually about selling dice stuff and personal computers. But Shibusawa Ko, Koei's founder, received a Sharp MZ80C computer from his wife as a birthday present, and he used that computer to make games as a hobby. By the way, this computer costed 268,000 yen at the time. I'm too stupid to calculate how much that means with inflation. But in an interview, Shibusawa Ko said that the average salary at the time was around 70,000 yen a month, so that means that birthday present is almost 4 months worth of salary. What the f? Anyway, as an avid history lover, the very first game Shibusawa Ko created was called Battle of Kawanakajima, and in it, you control the Takeda army to take down the Uesugi army at the Faithful Battlefield. The game ended up selling about 10,000 copies. Now that may not sound much by today's standard, but you have to remember that this was back in 1981 when not that many people owned a personal computer nor do video game as a hobby was considered normal. 10,000 was huge. So Shibusawa Ko decided to shift his company's focus to creating games instead, and thus an ambition that lasted more than 40 years, 16 main titles, and numerous spin-offs is founded, and it all began here at the fateful Battle of Kawanakajima. Not gonna lie though, this game really aged like milk. I don't even know what the hell I'm doing here.